Before there was a castle or a mouse, there was a train, and a man who couldn't stop chasing it. Morning settles over Anaheim, golden and slow. Steam drifts through the gates of Main Street Station, curling around red brick and iron railings. The air smells of popcorn and oranges from groves that still border the park. The bell clangs once, twice. The Santa Fe and Disneyland Railroad begins its first run of the day. To most guests, it's just a train, but to Walt, it's his childhood heart beating again. At 14, he sold newspapers on the Missouri Pacific Line and spent hours in the caboose, studying every wheel and whistle. Decades later, he built his own backyard railroad, the Carrollwood Pacific, complete with tunnels, switches, and a little engine called the Lily Bell. It was on that miniature line that he first learned how to control motion, to guide people through a story on rails. That backyard dream grew into the real thing, the full-scale railroad encircling Disneyland. Walt insisted it come first, before the castle, before the rides, because the park, he said, should feel like a story that begins with steam. He even left a secret apartment above the firehouse on Main Street, just steps from the tracks. When the park closed, you could sometimes see his lamp flicker through the window, proof that the man who dreamed it all was still keeping watch. Turn left into Adventureland, where the air thickens and the light turns green. The smell of wet earth and diesel rises from the river. This is the Jungle Cruise, and in 1958, it's unlike anything on Earth. Walt wanted real animals, lions that roamed, hippos that yawned, elephants that bathed. The experts told him it would be chaos, and they were right. So he built illusions instead. Horticulturist Bill Evans spent months transforming a sun-baked citrus field into a believable jungle. He scavenged cast-off orange trees, flipped them upside down, and replanted them as twisted jungle roots. Fast-growing bamboo and coral trees were imported from Asia. The water was dyed brown to hide the guide rails that kept boats on course. The animals, built by Bob Gurr and Roger Broggie, were driven by hydraulic pistons and hidden air compressors. Each one leaked and hissed, which Walt loved because it sounded alive. By 1958, the river had grown denser, darker. The skippers developed their own rhythm, half explorer, half comedian. Early on, the cruise was meant to be serious, like a true-life adventure film. But guests laughed anyway, and Walt leaned into it. He let the jokes stay. The attraction evolved into something rare, a live performance that changed with every trip. Even now, if you ride it late in the evening, when the lamps glow and the crickets drown out the crowd, you can almost believe you're in the jungle Walt built by hand. One vine, one bad pun at a time. From the roar of the jungle to the hush of the frontier, follow the tracks into nature's wonderland. Before Big Thunder ever rolled, this was Disneyland's grand wilderness. Guests boarded little mine trains that wound through painted deserts, sandstone arches, and waterfalls that shimmered in colors no one had seen before. Walt wanted visitors to feel the West, not just watch it. So his team filled the landscape with animatronic wildlife, 204 animals in all. They moved slowly, breathing in jerky loops, but they gave the illusion of life. The true marvel was the rainbow caverns. Engineers pumped mineral-colored water through underground channels lit by hidden black lights. The flowing reds and purples looked chemical, almost alien, a kind of natural magic that didn't exist anywhere else. What few guests knew was that the caverns were inspired by a roadside attraction Walt had visited in Colorado. He returned home saying, "We can build it better." And they did. By 1958, the attraction was still expanding. Imagineers added geysers that erupted on schedule, rattlesnakes that struck from the brush, even a collapsing bridge that failed just often enough to make hearts jump. For kids who rode it, Nature's Wonderland was the America of dime novels, open, endless, unspoiled. When it closed in 1977, much of it was buried under Big Thunder Mountain, but a few of its rivers still run beneath the new track, the old dream whispering below the modern one. Now we drift back toward Main Street, past popcorn carts and the sound of the Dapper Dans. Just beyond the Opera House, hidden behind neat, turn-of-the-century facades, lies a neighborhood that never came to life, Edison Square. Walt imagined it as the neighborhood of the future. Guests would walk through 4 houses, each representing a different era in American life. From gas lamps to electric stoves to televisions glowing blue in living rooms. Every decade would light up with narration about progress, ending in a vision of tomorrow. General Electric signed on as sponsor. Sets were drafted, concept art was complete. But the park's footprint was already tight, and the technology was changing faster than the construction crews could keep up. Within 2 years, the concept evolved into something bigger. The Carousel of Progress that later debuted at the 1964 World's Fair. Edison Square never opened, but pieces of it survive. The early audio-animatronic concepts, the mechanical staging, the idea that technology could be both theater and optimism. If you study the 1958 map, you can still see its name printed in delicate script. A phantom suburb sitting quietly behind Main Street. The guests who walked by never realized they were passing the outline of an entire land that never saw a single visitor. Beyond Fantasyland, a white peak pierces the Anaheim sky. In 1958, the Matterhorn is still half-built, a web of steel ribs wrapped in scaffolding and canvas. Walt had just returned from Switzerland after filming Third Man on the Mountain. He mailed his team a postcard of the real Matterhorn, with 2 words scrawled on it: "Build this." No one had ever attempted a mountain on that scale, and certainly not one made of steel. Up until then, every roller coaster was wood. Walt's engineers, led by Bob Gurr, invented a new method: tubular steel track, flexible and strong enough to twist through the mountain's curves. It became the world's first true steel coaster. Inside, 2 intertwined bobsled tracks raced through tunnels of painted ice and glowing stalactites. The interior lighting was borrowed from a set design trick used on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Phosphorescent paint that shimmered under blacklight. Workers left secret signatures inside the rockwork, carving initials into the concrete before it hardened. Later, a small basketball hoop was added near the summit so climbers could shoot during long shifts. By the time the Matterhorn opened in 1959, it stood 147 feet tall, the highest structure in Orange County. But in 1958, guests could already see it from miles away, a snow-covered promise of what was coming next. The mountain changed everything. It wasn't just scenery, it was spectacle made solid. Evening settles over the park, and the whistle of the Disneyland Railroad drifts through the air again. The train circles slowly, its headlights slicing through twilight. From above, The park glows like the 1958 map brought to life. Every land connected by the same silver line. Walt often rode the cab late at night, sitting behind the engineer with his hat low and his eyes fixed on the track ahead. He'd wave to the custodians sweeping Main Street and nod to the gardeners tending the flower beds by lantern light. He called Disneyland a work of love that would never be finished, and the railroad was his way to keep it moving. By 1958, the park had already changed from its opening 3 years earlier. The trees fuller, the attractions bolder. Yet the spirit was the same. A living world powered by imagination and machinery. As the last train rounds the curve and glides back into Main Street Station, the park exhales. The lights shimmer on the pavement. The air smells of sugar and grass that's still warm from the day. You can almost feel Walt there. The man with grease on his hands and wonder in his eyes. Watching it all move.
Disneyland, 1958. A map that didn't just show the dream, it made it move. What's your favorite ride at Disneyland? Share your memories with us in the comments. I'd love to hear them. If you'd like to keep a piece of Disneyland history close, you can find the restored 1958 map of the park linked below. And if maps like this speak to you, our catalog holds hundreds of beautifully restored maps from across the country, each one capturing a moment when imagination was taking shape. Shipping is free, and your support helps keep these restorations alive so we can continue bringing forgotten places and stories back into view. If you enjoy videos like this, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell. It really helps us grow and keeps history alive on this channel. Thank you for walking through 1958 Disneyland with me, and for helping these stories stay in the conversation.